Hello, good evening. Thanks for joining us. Hope you had a good day. Coming up on the programme tonight. Now, a mother from Lincolnshire whose son had a severe allergic reaction after eating a takeaway curry says that she's not confident enough is being done to crack down on those who don't follow the guidelines around allergies. 17-year-old Joe Horner was rushed to hospital struggling to breathe after eating the curry, which contained peanuts. His mother Maria says that she's been left disappointed with the response that she's received from trading standards. Caroline Bilton has this report.
The teenage girl died after eating a sandwich sold at a branch of Pret-a-Manger.
For some, one small bite can kill.
The teenager who died from an allergic reaction to a burger hadn't been made aware of the ingredients in his meal.
Around 10 people will die every year in the UK because of an allergic reaction to something they've eaten.
Within seconds I knew something wasn't quite right.
17-year-old Joe from Lincolnshire is lucky he's still here to speak of his experience.
When it arrived, started eating it, and within seconds I started to feel some tingling in my throat and started to close up, started to struggle to breathe. It was quite scary.
We got to A&E and one of the chaps came round and administered Joe's EpiPen, and he literally went white, grey, and I just saw him wide-eyed, blue and grey, and just thinking, oh my God, I don't know if I'm going to lose him. It was just terrifying, absolutely terrifying.
An investigation was carried out by Lincolnshire Trading Standards, and it found that Joe's meal contained peanut at a sufficient level to be potentially harmful. It's thought traces of peanut had made their way into an opened bag of coconut flour, but Trading Standards said they were unable to prove that the meal was intentionally contaminated. The owner of the takeaway was told to review his methods surrounding allergens and complete an online training course with his staff. But Joe's mother says the investigation did not go far enough, and she's concerned the issue of allergens is not being taken seriously.
I am not confident that the procedures are robust enough.
What didn't they do that you would have liked them to have done?
As an absolute basic was to properly interview the staff and the owners of the premises. To talk to them about their practice and procedures, how they operate in the kitchen, what they do with the foodstuffs and how they manage allergies, are they aware of those things? And they didn't do that.
Lincolnshire Trading Standards did not want to comment on the specifics of Joe's case, but they have offered an apology.
I do understand the distress that obviously Joe's incident will have caused, and I apologise for any distress that we may have caused them in the level of expectation that we may have set for how we could respond to the incident. This is an area of concern for us. We do put a lot of resource into dealing with food allergens. It will remain a priority for us.
Are you confident that customers using takeaways in Lincolnshire are safe?
Yes.
The takeaway used by Joe changed hands within a matter of months of the incident taking place. That in itself is not that unusual. This is a growing industry, and new takeaways are opening every day, in fact more so through lockdown, and it has a high turnaround of staff, and that in itself makes it more difficult to make sure that everyone follows the correct practices.
It's not a cultural issue, it's not just a food preference issue, it's a health and safety issue, and it could mean somebody dies. So every member of staff needs to understand why it's important.
Yeah, Joe's mum, Maria, another allergy story and a lucky near miss, as it turned out for Joe on that occasion. But 15-year-old Natasha Laperose died from an allergic reaction 4 years ago after eating a Pret-a-Manger sandwich containing sesame seeds. They weren't mentioned on the label. Well, now Natasha's law, which comes into force next year, means that food businesses will have to include full ingredient labelling on pre-packaged food. Well, earlier today I spoke to Natasha's dad. Nadim, this is a 17-year-old we're talking about. Natasha was 15. Are younger people of a particular concern?
Yes, when it comes to food allergies, younger people are absolutely of great concern, and particularly teenagers. When children become a little bit older and are no longer looked after entirely by their mothers and fathers or their guardians, and when teenagers start to do things for themselves, particularly around food and ordering food, this is when we see really the biggest area of problems happen. Unfortunately, sometimes people have lucky misses, but often it can be fatalities, which is really terrible.
And on the subject of age, at the other end of the scale, a lot of cafe owners, restaurant owners are older, and they probably know little of allergies and also think it's down to fatty eaters, so they need educating as well, don't they?
Absolutely. In the time that we've spent, sort of campaigning around food allergies and for things to change for the better for our country, we've really come across a widespread mentality around that. And older generations who never grew up with food allergies and have actually never heard of such things before, often in this country tend to think that younger people are just being fussy or faddy in some way, and sometimes rather annoying. And unfortunately, this is not at all the case. It's a really, really serious issue.
And just briefly, how much better and safer are things now since Natasha's death? I know it's not law yet, not for another year, but things better already?
Hugely so, actually. Now we hear from across the country, Scotland and Wales and Northern Ireland as well, that when you go to a restaurant and you're asked to be seated or you're seated by somebody who's waiting on you, the manager or the person, the waiter or the waitress will actually ask you outright, do you have any food allergies? And that was never, ever the case before. So it's already become part of the conscious thinking of a lot of food business operators, which is really, really good news.
Very good to hear. Nadim, thanks for all your tremendous campaigning work since you lost Natasha and for talking to us tonight. I wish you well.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, 15-year-old Natasha died 4 years ago, and that was her dad, Nadim, talking to me earlier.